The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Dolly, can you do roll, please?
Supervisor Flaherty?
Here.
Councilman Abbott?
Here.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Present.
Councilman Cahill?
Here.
Councilwoman Nguyen?
Aye.
Town Attorney Genesi?
Present.
All right. So the first item up tonight is a public hearing. Actually, I'm going to switch order on this. The first item up is going to be a public hearing to consider an addition to the Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District, specifically the Linda Lane extension. When we had the sign front, we had one person sign in. I think it's Sarah Paradiso?
Yeah.
Did I say that correctly?
Oh, was that to speak?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I thought it was signing in as
well, that was very nice, but you and actually, I'll tell you what, I'm going to open the public hearing, and then if somebody wants to take the podium on this subject, even with a question, you're more than welcome to. So I am going to open the public hearing on the Linda Lane extension. Is there anybody that would like to take the podium? Come on, let's do it. All right, so I don't know if this might be Sarah's mom. She's not speaking.
I'm Florence Flammey of 5 Linda Lane, Webster, New York.
Mary, can you help her with just move the, thank you.
Did you hear me now?
Well,
I'm Florence Flammey, 5 Linda Lane, Webster, New York. I copied this from the Webster Herald a couple weeks ago, and I was questioning, is a one-time $1,000 will be charged at the time of connection. Now, what is that for? Is that for each person has to pay another $1,000? Or is that added to our taxes? No?
if you have more questions, just rattle them off and then we'll answer
That's
them.
the only question
That's the only
I have.
question?
Yeah.
Paul or Art?
I can answer it. Flo, that is a one-time connection fee that each resident, when they connect to resident or business, it's actually rated differently for a business. It's a fee that is charged, and it's not added to your taxes. Okay. It is an upfront cost.
So that would be for each person that signed up for this on Orchard Street and Linda Lane?
That is correct. But it is only charged when you connect.
Okay. No, I did think of another question.
point out that if the project goes through, we give you credit for that $1,000. So it comes off the project cost,
Oh, I didn't
which
know.
ultimately gets
Is
bonded.
there a question if the project is going to go through? Because we applied for this over a year ago.
Yeah, we hope it goes, depending on the state.
Absolutely.
State,
you know, as we've discussed numerous times, the state is being a challenge, to say the least. And Charlie Jesse and I, town attorney, and Paul and everyone in our department is working hard and diligent. I don't have a good answer, Charlie. I'm going to throw this to you, and I'm going to get it off my plate.
Okay. What's the watch? As far as where we're going?
Where I mean, what struggles we're having right now?
We are having struggles
with the
this.
state.
Maybe after Ms. Flammey is done speaking, we can talk
That'd probably
about
a good idea.
And there was another thing, there was going to be a $30,000 credit onto that because of Crosstown's going to build behind us. That, you know, that little subdivision they're going to put in there on 6.5 acres, 10 houses. They were supposed to add, they were supposed to be adding on to the sewer up farther than Linda Lane, and that was put in there with a $30,000 agreement. Is there anything you can know about that?
So, Flo, and I know you were unable to join us at the second meeting.
I couldn't, yeah.
Right, exactly, and it's completely understandable why. We had to take that out. One, to be conservative, we don't know what is happening with that development, and two, it muddied the water with New York State.
Okay.
Completely muddied the waters. They did not understand it.
Okay. That's it, I guess.
And you and I, we can talk more at any time, you know that.
I know. You've been wonderful at the sewer department.
Fantastic.
And I did see 2 police officers at Dunkin' Donuts the other day, and they were great. 2 sergeants.
Thank you, Florence. Well, I'm very happy that you took the podium. You're delightful. If there's nobody else to speak on the Linda Lane, does the board, well, I'll close out the public hearing then, and then, so we're going to close out the public hearing.
Could I make a comment or two?
Sure.
7 properties, correct?
That is correct.
And how many of the 7 properties have formally signed on to this, or indicated that they are committed to the project?
It was definitely more than 51%, and I believe at this point it is 5 or 6.
All right. What we've done, or what I've done, after speaking with the state, and this is not because they've suggested I do this, because I talked to Art about this, and I've decided that we would go the Article 12A route, which means that the town board is going to be doing this on its own as opposed to petition. So we're going to, I'm asking that the town board on its own consider the resolution after this public hearing. If they grant the extension, the major difference will be that there's going to be a 30-day period within which a permissive referendum can be filed. So I'm doing it actually to speed, believe it or not, speed up the process. So.
And is that article you just said, is it?
I wrote it in, I rewrote the resolution.
So
Correct.
this probably is one that might be a full read motion?
I'm sorry?
Is this a full read motion if we do this?
No, I don't think you have to fully read. I think it may be good to mention the addresses and the amounts, only because that seems to be an issue. But I want to make sure that the people who are affected understand the numbers. I think they are. We've been going through this for some time. The difference is that the prices have increased due to inflation, labor, material costs, et cetera, over last year when we first passed this.
Correct.
Or first approved of this matter. So, in any event, matter of fact, if you want, Mr. Supervisor, I'd be glad to go through the motion.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
I can't make the motion, obviously,
Yep.
but if somebody. Yeah, sure. Can you hear me better now? Yeah.
Charlie, if you wouldn't mind.
I don't do much talk, to be honest, I don't do much talking at these meetings, but this case is something near and dear to my heart.
So either I can read all 4 pages and lull people to sleep, or you can hit on the highlights.
I think that's what we'll do, Mr. Supervisor, if somebody wants to make a motion.
I would move that the town board approve the addition to the Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District, specifically the Linda Lane extension, north of Charles E. Sexton Memorial Park and east of Holt Road in the town of Webster.
Second. All right, thank you.
Go through it?
Sure. This is an extension to the Consolidated Sewer District of the town. It exists, there are 4 properties, numbers 1, 5, 9, and 11 on Linda Lane, 780 Holt Road, 1130 Orchard Road, and vacant property on Orchard Road. There are 7 properties. The cost of the extension, it's going to cost to construct the extension to the sewer district, is going to be $270,662, which we will be bonding. There will also be additional costs, capital fee, annually of $58.44 for each property. an operation and maintenance fee of $173.53 for each property, and a one-time entrance fee of $1,000, which the finance director and the head of the sewer department has already explained. The homeowners or the property owners will be expected to grant us easements once this matter is approved by the state, and basically the owners will be the ones paying for this district. It will not be a town-wide charge. It will be strictly the people benefiting from the district. Let's see if there's anything else here. Paul, what's the length of the bonding on this particular one?
In this, I believe Linda Lane chose 25 years.
All right, so this will be over a period of 25 years. It will be paid off.
It's actually going to be borrowed internally from our sewer capital reserve fund. It's going to be an investment of the reserve. We'll still pass a bond resolution which gives us the right to bond it with traditional serial bonds at some point. But the plan is to just keep it as an investment of the reserve.
Whereas the public hearing on the addition of these parcels and residents to the Linda Lane extension of the Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District of the Town Board is held today, June 1st, 2023. All interested persons having had the opportunity to be heard. Each of the owners and the developers of the land constituting the taxable real property were given notice of the public hearing by regular mail sent to their last known addresses. A short form environmental assessment form, EAF, for the proposed action has been prepared and submitted to the town board and reviewed by the town board. As a result, the town board resolves to authorize and approve the construction of certain sewer improvements along a portion of Linda Lane in the town of Webster, servicing the aforementioned parcels and residents located on Linda Lane, Holt Road, and Orchard Road in the town of Webster. The maximum cost will be $270,662. The maximum amount to be financed by the issuance of bonds pursuant to the local finance law shall be $270,662. Maximum annual cost of the affected parcels will be each property $2,000. This is the maximum. Not going to be every year. $2,044.36. The estimated cost for each of the parcels annually be a capital fee of $58.44, an operation and maintenance fee of $173.53, and a one-time entrance fee of $1,000. The town board is directed and authorized to obtain definite plans and specifications, and with the assistance of counsel, to enter into any contract or contracts needed for such improvement, provided the price of the contract or contracts does not exceed the maximum cost estimated above. Any cost of publications and recording will be paid for or reimbursed by the homeowners. The town board determines that based upon the information in the environmental assessment form and the other available information, this proposed project will not have a significant effect on the environment within the meaning of seeker. Therefore, it does not require preparation of environmental impact statement. The establishment of the extension, the plan and report thereof be approved, that the requested improvements be constructed and the necessary easements be acquired. Upon the required funds being made available and provided, the district shall be known and designated as the extension to the Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District for Linda Lane, and we will have the schedule, and the exhibit will be available to anyone that wishes it. Lastly, the resolution of the town board establishing an extension to the Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District is subject to permissive referendum pursuant to Article 7 of the New York State Town Law. And this is again pursuant to this proceeding is pursuant to Article 12A of the Town Law.
Yes?
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. Okay, next up is a public hearing to consider enacting local law number 1 for 2023, adding a new chapter to the code of the town of Webster to be known as Property Maintenance Code. So I'm going to open the public hearing. At least at the time of the start of the meeting 15 minutes ago, we had one person sign in to speak. I know we've had some stragglers come in the last 10, 15 minutes. Is anybody coming that has come in want to speak about the property maintenance code? Okay. Well, then, I have Paul Loeb here. As signed in as Paul, there he is, he's behind the beam, that beam got me again.
Supervisor Flaherty and Jim, I'd like to say you guys did a great job in the draft, and my area sensitivity, first of all, my name is Paul Loeb. I live at 675 Osborne Road. My area of sensitivity resides around the part of the draft that it deals with exterior property maintenance. What I'd like to see is the ground cover. Once these renovations are made to existing properties and the additions have been placed and foundations, everything has been erected, all the heavy equipment removed, I'd like to see some ground cover put down, because unfortunately I'm downwind of one of the renovations that is currently in play, and I'm getting an awful lot of dust and dirt on my vehicles, and have had to make considerable adjustments to my lifestyle and put a bigger shed so I could get all my cars into the garage so I could avoid this. That was every morning to come out, and my cars are just covered in dirt. So, and as far as the rest of the draft, I think it's well overdue that a lot of that that is in that draft, to keep Webster Where Life is Worth Living, we really should adapt that draft and put it into play in the code book as it stands. A lot of it, I believe, is already in play from New York State, and a lot of it, I believe, you guys picked out of the New York State code and incorporated into the draft to go into the Webster code book. So I think it's great. I think it should go into play. I think it should be entered into the code book. That's my opinion. That's all I got.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, you're welcome.
And I should have said this earlier. We get emails in or letters in sometimes in lieu of people coming into these public hearings who say they'd like their statement read. They can't make it. I don't think we got anything on Linda Lane in writing, but I did get one on this property maintenance. So I'm going to read it into the record. And it's from Michael Byrne at 1496 Grand Meadows Way. He says, I'd like to comment at the public hearing regarding the Town of Webster Property Maintenance Code update. Unfortunately, I have a conflict and I'm unable to attend, and therefore submit this comment. Per the New York State, New York Uniform Code, the current max length of grass and weeds on a residential property is set at 10 inches. The current Webster Town Code is 8 inches. Your draft proposal is set for 10 inches, and I would propose that you modify the draft to be 8 inches max for grass and weeds on residential and commercial property in the town of Webster. I believe 8 inches is more appropriate to minimize unsightly property, trash, lawn cuttings, and debris, and to minimize the likelihood of a rodent infestation on the property in the town. And that is his comment. Now, James,
So
I can't wait till you guys go out with the yardstick and like, well, that's 8 inches, and you know, that's 10. But
yeah,
being fair, I read the comment. So I will say this: if nobody else wants to speak on this, I'm going to close the public hearing and then put it toward the town board and the town department heads. In advance, I'll say this: unlike the Linda Lane where we did the resolution tonight, we will not be doing a resolution on this tonight. This is a pretty hefty project, and I think it needs a couple of weeks just to make sure we put the fine-tuned touches on it before we did a resolution on the first local law of the year. So I'm going to close out the public hearing. Jim? Is there anything you'd like to say?
no.
Okay.
I have a comment or a question, and it goes back to Mr. Loeb's concern. Is that something that we would address in the property maintenance code, or is that something that would be addressed in the permitting process of putting on additions and things like that, and how that project would get tied up?
So actually, in the New York State Property Maintenance Code, there is a section for ground cover already.
Okay.
And it basically just states that any loose soil needs to have some kind of ground cover to stabilize it, so whether it be straw or grassy. We're just basically already pulling that from the code, so we're not reinventing the wheel on that one.
Okay. Thank you. So hopefully that answers your questions as well.
John? Jenny? Bill?
Oh, I'm fine with it. Looks good.
I am too.
Okay. Well, like I said, we'll slot it for June 15th for the resolution.
I look forward to enacting that local law.
Yeah, well, yes. Yes. Now, the next item up on the agenda is the open to the floor, where each speaker will be allowed up to 5 minutes to talk about anything they want. I'm going to preface this by saying that I want to apologize that the last item on tonight's agenda, the tabled item of resolution to take a pledge to register with the New York State Department of DEC as a climate smart community, that is being tabled. We are not making a motion. We're not voting on that tonight. So that is tabled.
Why is it being tabled?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Well, I can tell you that Mary Harrington is doing some more research for us, and she will probably be presenting to the board at a workshop or whatever, just to get some more clarification on things, and we'll bring it back to vote, if appropriate, after such type of workshop presentation. So that's why.
Great.
Okay.
Look forward to hearing from the people that are here to speak on the climate situation.
Well, you don't know that they're here to speak on that.
I think so.
So before I get going,
okay.
The people that did come in a little bit later, this open to the public to speak. Is there anybody that did not sign the sheet that intends to speak? Oh, my friend from Penfield. All right. I know it's Brenda. Lincoln? Okay, anybody else? All right. Well, the first person on the list is Marianne Randall, or is it Randall? Okay.
Hello, my name is Mary. Can you hear me? My name is Marianne Randall. I am strongly in favor of registering and taking the pledge to become a climate smart community. I am glad that the board has taken the action of considering this important step towards responsible community care. I attended my first town board meeting 2 weeks ago, and I found it very interesting. There were several people who protested the CSC, or the Climate Smart Community Pledge, due to concerns of other governmental agencies attempting to take over the running of our town board and town decision-making. I was curious about these fears, so I took the deep dive into the CSC document. Hours later, I especially was curious about the land use portion because we live in the woods and have town creeks running through our property. I found nothing that said my personal property land use would be restricted. I realized that I already must follow town guidelines for waterway protection of Shipbuilders Creek, and I'm happy to comply because the beauty and the health of that creek is important to all of us and to the fish and the wildlife. The CSC document is an excellent guideline for how we can work as a town board and a community to make energy-saving, cost-saving, and environmentally sound decisions. So many of the recommendations are ones that we try to implement as responsible parents and citizens. In our home, we recycle, we compost, we do not use chemicals on our land. We have converted to LED lights, reducing our RG&E bill. We have reduced our gas usage, converting to battery-powered yard tools and cars when possible. We have considered solar and heat pumps and pledged to consider energy-efficient appliances and HVAC when those needs arise. I understand people's concern about the cost of these actions. I am not suggesting anyone, including the town, spend money frivolously or irresponsibly, or that we judge each other on one's ability to convert to energy-saving measures. Rather, that we all consider the impact of our decisions on our town, our land, and the lives of our children, and do our best to make climate-smart decisions where we can. Many actions recommended by this CSC program would actually save the town money and give access to grants. As a taxpayer, I am always in favor of smart financial decisions. The town has a responsibility and an opportunity to be role models on this front. I hope that you will vote to take the challenge and that the residents of Webster will be proud of our climate-smart community status. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann. And she is a tough act to follow because Mary Ann was on that podium for 2 minutes and 38 seconds. That is efficient and succinct and to the point. Fantastic. Next up is Rebecca Collins.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Rebecca Collins, and I do realize that this item has been tabled, but I am here to speak in favor of the town taking the pledge to become a climate-smart community, also known as a CSC. I'd like to thank Mary and the other department heads for the informative and thorough presentation given at the town board meeting on April 27th, or town board workshop on April 27th. And I'd also like to thank the board for initially agreeing to add the resolution to the town board agenda for that following board meeting, which was May 4th. I actually came here on May 4th to show my support, but by the time I arrived at 7:25, the sign-up sheet was gone and the room was packed. Needless to say, I was blindsided by the opposition to this resolution. I listened to concerns from fellow residents about fears of government overreach and control, but I have a different perspective. I feel we are fortunate to live in a state where programs such as the Climate Smart Communities and Clean Energy Communities are available. These programs provide incentives, they provide rebates and grants as a way to offset costs associated with implementing actions to help us become more sustainable communities. From the presentation delivered by Mary at the April 27th workshop, we learned that registering to take a pledge to become a climate-smart community requires no additional stress on the town workforce. There are, however, potential financial benefits to doing so. In some state grant programs, communities that have taken the CSC pledge get scored higher. This means if Webster registers, it improves our grant scoring, and we have a higher chance of receiving funding through these state grant programs. Webster is currently involved in a number of projects that could qualify for this type of funding, with more likely to come. Contrary to statements made at previous board meetings, communities involved in the Climate Smart Communities and Clean Energy Communities programs have definitely not been destroyed. They have greatly benefited. I know the board was sent a spreadsheet containing data of grant money earned by different local communities. I can help arrange to have representatives from some of these communities, including Canandaigua, Penfield, and the village of Lima, to actually come here and speak to the board, describing the financial benefits they have received by being part of these programs. So please let me know if you'd like me to coordinate this. So in closing, I believe that the responsible action is for the board to put this resolution back on the agenda and pledge to become a climate-smart community in order to take advantage of these incentives. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Mary Ann, she beat you. 2 minutes and 27 seconds, but I might have started it late. So you were close, both of you. No, well, you know. Next up is Lori Reynolds.
Good evening. I'm Chair of the Webster Citizen Action League, and I'm representing us tonight. I have two things. Mr. Flaherty, can you answer me why there is no parking out here on a board meeting night? Can this be taken care of, you know, with the, the playground over here or the ball field?
Well, you know, usually I want to say with the 5 minutes open to the public, it's you can say anything you want, but we don't answer questions. But this one I'm going to answer because it's funny. This is the courthouse. There's a jury trial tonight, and they're picking the jury. So unfortunately, Ms. Reynolds, no, I can't change that. It's one of those things that tonight, which in 3.5 years as supervisor, it's never happened, but this is the realities of us being in the courthouse, that we were made aware that they have a jury trial. We're not going to change our board meeting, so that's my answer.
Okay, because I didn't know whether it was because of the park, you know, whether people are parking
Well, now
over
you know
here.
what the reason is, Ms. Reynolds, so.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
And by the way,
Flaherty.
keep going.
Okay, my name is Lori Reynolds. I'm chair of the Webster Citizen Action League. The Webster Citizen Action League has for almost 10 years advocated for Webster residents. The proposal to approve the Climate Smart Community resolution leaves too many unanswered questions. What will be the short and long-term impacts on our community? Will this involve a quicker change away from natural gas or other fossil fuels? What's the cost going to be for the town residents? Has any of this been looked into? Our state government has shown it does not care about upstate New York. Actually, Albany has made sure to make our lives in upstate as difficult as possible. Approving this resolution seems like another way to add to our burdens. The town board should really consider carefully how adopting this resolution could hurt our town residents. Perhaps there might be a day when approving a climate change resolution might be appropriate. It does not seem like this is the right time to make this commitment to an out-of-touch state government. As an advocate for Webster residents, Webster Citizens Action League opposes the signing of the Climate Smart Community Resolution by the Webster Town Supervisor and Board. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. Now, Mary Ann and Rebecca, even with me answering Lori's question, she was at 2 minutes and 37 seconds. So really, her time was probably 30 seconds less than yours. This is unbelievable. Name that tune. Who can go to under 2 minutes? Well, Jen Fonseca's next. If I'm a betting man, it won't be under 2 minutes.
It's not how it works.
That has some questions, you can stand right there. Come on up. So, as you know, my name
Props.
is Jen Fonseca.
All right, Jen, your 5 minutes
So,
starts.
you
Props
think-
and all.
About this pledge, you think that
Can you adjust the mic, please?
you're only taking a pledge. But tonight, I want to read the statements to you directly from the resolution. Does anybody on the board need the resolution in hand? Do you have it in front of you?
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Nobody else has the resolution? David, can you do me a favor? The resolutions are sitting there on the chair. If you could pass one out to each board member, if that's fine.
I don't need it.
So, as a teacher, I know there's multiple ways of learning. Some is through listening, some is through visual, some is tactile, et cetera. So I would like you to be able to use all of your senses tonight in order to understand what's in this pledge. And as I'm speaking and reading out each of these statements, there are some questions I want you to contemplate, not just as I'm reading, but afterwards and prior to voting on this. Question number one. As an elected Webster Town Board member representing all the residents of Webster, do you agree that we believe in these statements? Because you're representing the residents of Webster. You're not representing yourself and your own intentions. But you do have that in the back of your mind. So you're doing both of those things. Do you have examples from, especially around the state, about that these whereas statements are actually true? How might those in authority at the New York State level, along with its agencies, either modify or alter the requirements of those taking the pledge? Because your name is going to be on this pledge. If it is as simple as taking a pledge to gain better access to grants, which is a binding promise, my definitions, lady, a pledge is a binding promise, according to Webster Merriam Dictionary. Why would they make New York towns commit to these belief statements and complete an online application? Do you even know what's in this application yet? Or you haven't gotten that far because you haven't logged in yet? I'm not sure. I don't think you have because you haven't taken the pledge. So let's go over some of these statements. Number one, I want you to refer to question number 1 as you're thinking about this. The town of Webster believes that climate change poses a real and increasing threat to our local and global environments and is primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels. Do we really believe that? Is that true? That's our other definition. Believe. Nope. Front page. Front page. Believe. Believe. To accept as true or real. Is that true?
You guys need to get up next to
Yeah,
her.
get
because
over here.
We can't
You
get
need
you
to
on
be
the
here.
film.
Is
People
this
at home
true?
got to see this.
Believe.
This is the most creative I've seen so far. That's right. I'll give her 10
Whereas-
extra seconds because I said
Number
that.
2.
You need to get up there.
Number 2 is question due.
Up
Do you
next to
have
her.
examples from other programs across New York State to make this true? Whereas the effects of climate change will endanger our infrastructure, economy, and livelihoods, harm our farms, orchards, and ecological communities, including native fish and wildlife populations, spread invasive species and exotic diseases, reduce drinking water supplies and recreational opportunities, and pose health threats to our citizens. Do we have examples? Do we totally believe that is true? Number 3, whereas we believe, and you're going to refer back to question number 2, we believe that our response to climate change provides us with an unprecedented opportunity to save money, to build livable, energy-independent, and secure communities, vibrant innovation economies, healthy and safe schools, and resilient infrastructures. Do we believe that 100%? Is that true?
I'm going to do something different here.
Examples.
I'm going to give you 5:30 because I've said you're at
Whereas
4:20.
we
You're at
believe
number 3,
the
so you're going to run
scale-
out on 10.
Do we believe the scale of greenhouse gas emissions reductions required for climate stabilizations will require sustained and substantial efforts? Refer back to question 1. Do we all believe that's true? And number 5, refer to question 3. We believe that even if emissions were dramatically reduced today, communities would still be
Flip.
required
Gotta
to
go to question
adapt
5.
to effects of climate change for decades to come. This is very dangerous because the next 10 points, the statements, you must adopt those if you sign this pledge. You are saying you are building a climate smart community. Inventory emissions, set goals, plan for climate action, decrease energy use, shift to clean renewable energy, use climate smart materials management, and number 6, implement climate smart land use. This is the most dangerous. Turn the page, because Cornell law says what a pledge is in legalese, which is a type of security interest in which a lender
You are
takes
now at
possession
5 minutes and 30
of
seconds.
personal property as security of an obligation. This is in the
Okay,
application.
I'm going to do you a favor.
And
Who's
the
got numbers
application-
5 through 10? Do you have it on the back of yours?
No.
You don't have
nothing
5 through
there.
10?
I
Okay.
am going to move on.
Well, you're done.
I am.
You are. Okay, thank you, Jen.
Vote
And I
no.
want to thank you
I
very
need
much
3
for
no's, but I would prefer
the
5.
the help. Well, I feel sorry for Susan Buckman, because Susan, unless you got some tap dancers to, that's a tough act to follow.
Even as an adult, I just did. I'm going to be very brief, though. I won't need near the 5 minutes. I was happy she went over a little bit. First, I want to thank you for letting us come speak. It's a freedom we still have in America, and I respect the rights of differing opinions, because that's what America is freaking all about. I also want to say this. We start every meeting at the town board saying a pledge of allegiance to that beautiful red, white, and blue flag. Every single meeting. And you know, I used to say it and I felt so good, so proud, so safe, so free. And you know what? Of late, I don't feel as safe. I don't feel as free. And my pride in being American is starting to shift a little bit because I don't like the direction this country's going. It scares the hell out of me. I limit how much news I watch. Now, I believe, this is my belief, this climate control stuff, along with the RG&E smart meters, it's all about government control. You are our elected officials. Webster, where life is worth living. Yes, I believe that. I love living in Webster. Elected officials, we want to govern us and represent us. This climate control program is just another piece of the little puzzle for state and higher up politicians to get you to be their little puppets, to dangle the carrot, get you to do what they want so that they can govern and control us, and you lose a lot of that ability. It's a piece of the puzzle that is slowly moving our beautiful country towards socialism, and I believe that. Now, I don't think what I have to say tonight will probably make any difference in how you vote. Maybe your hands are tied, as so many politicians nowadays claim. You gotta have the balls to stand up for what your constituents want. And when you say Pledge of Allegiance to that beautiful red, white, and blue, who are you pledging allegiance to? Who do you want to govern? Who do you want to rule? What do you believe in for this country? When you go to sleep at night and when you vote, you think about when you pledge allegiance to that flag. I pray the day never comes when they take that flag away from us, because I'm scared to God that's going to be the next thing they take away in our freedoms. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Well, I'm going to rephrase it. Michelle Anderson, that's a tough act to follow. I don't think you... Do you?
No, she is a tough act.
That's a tough act to follow.
It was terrific.
Are you going up there?
Well, yes, but I have to ask you, at the last meeting you had,
Nobody can hear you, by the way, so that's why you should go up and, you know. All right? So Michelle Anderson is next. And you might at home recognize her face because she was one of the prop holders for Jen Fonseca. She's doing double duty tonight.
My moment of fame. So I have to ask you a question. At the last meeting, because I was under the line, you said I got 2 extra minutes. I'm not saying I'm going to use them, but if I should, do I have your permission to do
Michelle?
that? Yes.
And I hope you appreciate this. No.
Well,
Because,
I don't appreciate
you know,
it, but you have to be a man of your
As soon as I give
word.
that favor to you,
Mhm.
it'll widespread over the next couple of years where everybody wants that extra 2 minutes. And
I'll remember that.
You know, so
It's okay.
I know you remember.
It's all right, no
Sure.
problem. We're good.
You're
So-
already 31 seconds in.
Am I? Really? Okay. Well, here we go, folks. I have to say, and I've never really been sworn into office for anything, but I'm assuming, and I hope I'm assuming correctly, that you all put your hand on a Bible and swore to represent the constituents who elected you to office. That's a big assumption. And in doing so, I am hoping that you've had enough time to read the application for this Smart Communities Plan. And if you haven't, well, I'm going to read some of it for you. On page 12, under the heading Ineligible Expenses. Now, this is absurd, but anyway, we need to hear this. The following expenses are not eligible as match for reimbursement under the Smart Communities Plan. Costs for purchase of zero-emission vehicles and/or installation of electric vehicle service, equipment, or other charging or clean vehicle fueling infrastructure. If interested in zero-emission vehicles, charging infrastructure, or hydrogen fuel cell filling station grant opportunities, please see Grants Gateway. The cost for the installation of equipment for power sector-related GHG emission reductions, such as solar panels, heat pumps, etc., unless they are installed in low-income public housing. Generators, unless part of a larger adaptation project and powered by means other than fossil fuel. Real property, land acquired prior to award and contract start date, and lands protected through state or federal easements are not eligible for grant funding. Let's see, we'll go down, we'll cut through that, and we'll go to page 14 under the title Ownership. Pursuant to ECL 54-15153, all infrastructure and project components funded through the CSC grant program must be owned by the contractor grantee and cannot be transferred to another entity for the duration of the service life of such infrastructure and/or project components through a climate change mitigation easement, CCME, further discussed on page 16 of this RFA. In the infrastructure and project components may be placed on real property not owned by the municipality. And the way I'm interpreting this is a really interesting way to say eminent domain. Real property, land, and fee simple, acquired, developed, improved, restored, or rehabilitated by a municipality with funds made available pursuant to this program shall not be sold or disposed of or used for any other than climate change mitigation and adaptation purposes without the expressed authority of an act of the New York State Legislature. There we go again. Which shall provide for the substitution of other lands of equal environmental and fair market value and reasonably equivalent usefulness and location to those to be discontinued, sold, or disposed of, and such other requirements as shall be approved by the Commissioner. So now we come to page 34. And on page 34, it states, it's the third paragraph down, upon notification from the municipality that the project is complete, the DEC will determine if the project is operating in accordance with applicable laws and regulations pursuant to 6 NYCRR subsection 492.3.5D. A final project summary report must be submitted no later than 60 days after the end of the contract period and be approved by DEC prior to the release of the final contract reimbursement. The final report must report on all aspects of the program, including were utilized in achieving the goals set forth in the work plan, summarize the obstacles experienced and how they were overcome, and include monitoring and metrics data pertaining to the project's GHG emissions reduction, risk reduction, or other appropriate metrics as defined in the contract work plan. And on page 35, heading protest procedure. Now, the DEC is running this show, according to this. However, it says the DEC does not have a formal protest procedure.
You just hit 5 minutes.
Okay, just by the grace of God, give me 2 more seconds.
No, you got 30.
All right, who else wants to pick this up?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to break the rules.
Okay,
But
thank you.
I would ask that the board please vote no.
Okay.
This is absurd. And I would also ask that you read this.
Thank you, Michelle. Up is Eileen Warren.
Hello. I'd like you to know I'm strongly opposed to this smart climate. And as far as the grants you're going to get for doing this, I've lived through that already in a medical office where the state offered us a grant of $200,000 to convert to EMRs. It took 4 years to get even $1,000 out of that grant. When that's jumping through hoops and selling your soul to the devil to get that money. So don't think it's going to be easy to get your grants, because it's not going to be. They will fight you on everything. Secondly, I want to know why this isn't a town-wide vote. Why do you 7 people get to make this determination on 1, 2, 3, 4,
Only 5 voters.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Why do you guys get to do this instead of having a town-wide vote publicized on something as important as a smart climate? That's it.
If you'd like to. Are you set?
I'm done.
Okay.
Don't think you're going to get that money from the government.
The only matters that can be put up for a referendum are those that are permitted by law. We are a representative democracy. You vote for your representatives, they enact the laws. There are a certain number of matters, some of which are bonding. Occasionally they are laws that the voters vote on. But in any event, that's why excuse me, and furthermore, this is not a statute. This is not a law. This is something different. It's basically a matter of policy. So this is not really something that would be appropriately either by statute or by any other means before the public.
Thanks, Charlie. Greg Cummings is next.
Thank you very much for the time tonight. First, I'd like to correct my statement in my last meeting where I said if anyone had worked in a manufacturing plant and try to power by renewable energy, I said they use gigawatts of power. That's not exactly correct. It didn't sound right to me. And they said it's about 14,000 kilowatts per day for an average large plant. Now that depends on what you make, all that kinds of stuff. But that turns out to be 5 gigawatts a year. So I was in the right ballpark, wrong time frame. Just to put it in perspective, some of the biggest windmills, if that's the type we would choose, it would take 1 to 2 windmills per large factory to power that factory. Just, again, to put it in perspective. And that doesn't tell you when you will have the power. It's just, that's what the total output would be. So real quick, I looked at why would we want to become a CSC certified community? And this is from their website. What it says is you will get better scores on your grant applications. I won't rehash how it takes to get grants. But it doesn't guarantee you anything. It just puts us potentially ahead of someone else who hasn't done it. That's really all it does. It gives us state-level recognition. Big deal. Streamlined access to resources, that's a good thing. Networking with peers, not a bad thing. Cost savings, and I won't go through them all. I am for the CSC concept. I am not for signing up for it. They have a beautiful manual. And Mary, when you go through this, several of us who's gone through this, we ought to give you what we found because it's daunting, the number of websites to look at. But they have a great manual. That one page that Jen showed you, it's over 220 pages of detail, okay? But it tells you every single step, how to do it. I mean, it's a great manual, whomever put it together. It's my opinion that while it says it's voluntary, we have a voluntary army in this country. But once you sign up, it ain't voluntary anymore. And that's exactly how I see this. I might be wrong, but I think we take the best of what they've put out there, which is their manual, and as a town, we say what fits us. I mean, there are people here that are saying that, you know, we ought to do it for the next generation. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. It's just I don't want them telling me what to do. I came out of the automotive industry where quality requirements came out in the 80s. They were voluntary. They ain't voluntary. And when they say it doesn't cost you anything, just in the very first thing, how much time left, Tom? Just in the very first thing.
You're doing great.
It says you have to create
3 minutes.
you have to create a task force. So someone said it's not going to add to your workload. You guys are the task force unless you get volunteers, which is fine. You have to appoint a climate coordinator. This is going to be a full-time job when you see what these 250 pages outline for us to do. It is a huge undertaking, and to think it's not going to cost us anything is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I will summarize saying that I just don't want the state government micromanaging us. I think we ought to use as a town their manual and implement it as best fits Webster. And I think all of us are pretty concerned or want to do what we can for the climate, but don't have the medicine kill the patient. That's all. So that's
Thanks,
my
Scott.
time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
I planned and wrote like 5 different versions of my 5-minute speech, and then I listened to everybody, and that all went out the window, so I'm going in a different direction. But first, I want to just say for a minute that how really lucky we are to live in Webster and have all of these residents on both sides. Everybody who has come and voiced their concern for what Webster will turn into, and have really spent a lot of time investigating and looking into these applications and researching all of this. These people all care about what happens to this town, and I hope that the board, appreciates the fact that so many people have come out to give their opinions on both sides, because I think it's really wonderful. The first time that I was up here to speak, I spoke about the fact that Climate Smart is really a product. It's a name. It's not really talking about the environment, although there are things in it, obviously, that relate to that. That Climate Smart is its own identity. And I wanted to give an example. I was so happy to hear that you said that Mary was going to go back and do additional research and look into a few more things, because I had gone back to watch the workshop presentation, as you had encouraged. I watched it probably 3 times now, in addition to a whole bunch of other stuff. And one of the things that I noticed in there is that presentation falls into the trap that they set, which is that you're going to read it, and logically you're going to think, I know what the word climate means, I know what the word smart means, I know what they're talking about, and you read the sentences that they write with your own interpretation of what you think that is. And I took a picture from the presentation for myself, so I'm just going to bring it up because I didn't memorize it. But it's one of the slides that was given in the workshop where you're talking about what does the pledge say. And the very first item, I believe it comes from the resolution, I think that's what she was referring to, was it says, number 1, build a climate smart community. And her answer is logical if you were reading it as if it were a sentence. She talks about transitioning to LED lighting, managing the treatment for the stormwater, prioritizing flood resilience. That is a very logical response to the words that were on the page. When you go out and you look at the details of what the requirements of that particular item are, it doesn't have anything to do with the things that she wrote on the page. They're talking about who the people are that will make up the task force, who the people are that will be in charge of the thing. They are not talking about you creating a good Webster. They're talking about the people that you are going to assign to be the cheerleaders and the advocates and the researchers and whatever else they have to do for this project that are in it. But it's that kind of wordplay that they do, that if you're not really reading this with a fine-tooth comb, you're going to miss it. So I wanted to call that out, and I wanted to say thank you, and I just wanted that to be something that, a word to the wise as you're going through and preparing for your next workshop or that additional detail, that you're paying very close attention to what's in those things. Michelle, I believe, was actually reading from one of the sections that's in the application, which everything that's in the resolution it's ultimately going to lead to what's in the application. And she was reading about the section where it talks about the land use. That was the second topic that I talked about when I was here. I brought up the anti-rent movement, and I got kind of cut short, so people probably didn't necessarily catch the connection between the anti-rent movement and how it related to Climate Smart. But at the end of the day, the contracts that were signed by the people in the anti-rent movement were signed at the beginning in the 1600s. Those, whatever benefits came from them getting the land and being able to set up their farms there, they got the benefit of those things, but the contracts were signed in perpetuity. So multiple generations later, when there were problems and financial systems were crashing and those sort of things, and it wasn't even the original patroon, it was several generations later for him, they needed the money, they wanted to collect the money. The generations that were forced to pay on it didn't even know the contract had been signed. They didn't give their consent for that to happen. When you get into this Climate Smart package down the road, we're agreeing to a resolution as it goes down to the road. We're going to see benefits in the short term because there's grant money, and more grant money. There's a lot of money that's tied to these things. And it doesn't stop with what's listed here because they make this climate smart a requirement for many other government programs. But it's the pickle that unfortunately you guys signed up for, because you're going to be put in a really hard position. It is going to get very hard to get grant money if we don't sign on for this. At the same time, we have needs and things that need to be done. So.
4:45.
Ooh, I got a whole 30 seconds left. I obviously am opposed to it. I think it's something that you guys really have to think about, and I'm glad that the attorney is here tonight, because as you're going through the application and there are shalls, attorneys know what that means. When it says you shall do something, that's not an option. And I want you to read it with a fine-tooth comb, because they're telling you what they're going to do with it. It's not hidden. So thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker tonight is the Honorable Ron Nesbitt, the past Town Supervisor of Webster.
I'm going to change the topic a little bit here. I would first like to commend Supervisor Flaherty for his detailed and informational report to the community last week on the status of EMS in the Webster right now. Having said that, I'm afraid that the CEO of Nichols and the Board of Trustees from Nichols are holding the town board and the Webster community as hostages to get more tax dollars from tax-paying residents. At no time in all the presentations 2 weeks ago did any employees or members of the Board of Trustees offer to sit down with the town board and hammer out a new contract that would include metrics and standards for cleanliness and response times for Webster residents. In fact, the liaison to Nichols, Councilman Cahill, has said nothing to continue Webster residents, to guarantee Webster residents that we won't be riding in dirty ambulances with outdated medicines. All taxing John Cahill wants is to give them more taxpayer dollars, as he promoted last year when he voted to give Nichols $205,000 more in July of 2022. And now the Webster community can't even get a financial statement on where the money went 11 months ago. Why not, Councilman Cahill? Doesn't Webster deserve to know? The problem this town board is twofold. First off, Supervisor Flaherty, by you signing the November 2020 contract with the CEO, has put you and the town board in a dark hole. There is no way out of that contract, period, until it expires in 2025, because the CEO won't sit down at the table and renegotiate that contract because there's nothing in it for him. He feels he can bluff you into giving him more taxpayer dollars for 2 more years to service his needs, and I wouldn't do it, nor should this town board. Second is the fact that Supervisor Flaherty signed a confidentiality disclosure agreement, and the CEO and the Board of Trustees at Nichols aren't going to give you any financial statements. They just sit back and laugh at you. Other than that, why wouldn't they be a good Webster community member and be honest with the town board and show the financials I ask? You're stuck. So instead of giving them another penny of taxpayer dollars, I would sit back and let them operate their business until 2025 and then go out to RFP. In Nichols' request from the town board, all they ask for is more money from the Webster taxpayers without telling the community how they would improve service or clean up the filthy ambulances that would be servicing Webster. There is no reason for this town board to give them any more money at this time. It's not your fault that they are overextended themselves on a new building they can't afford, owe the contractor thousands of dollars yet, have no generator, have not complied with the Webster Planning Board on putting in the landscaping for the site and their neighbors, has outdated ambulances, owes the Board of Trustee member $100,000 he put into the building, and having the CEO getting paid for being a paramedic who isn't doing the job. Let them operate as it is right now, And if they make it to 2025 under the current contract, good for them. But if they don't and fold because of lack of funds, this town board will be able to go to RFP quickly and find someone else to service Webster. You're not doing anything wrong here, but following this contract this CEO signed. Don't listen to or believe in his crying all the time for his benefit. No more taxpayer dollars until we get a new contract that makes sense to Webster residents and lays out cleanliness, metrics, response times, no outside agency taking employees away from Webster. We need a dedicated community ambulance. And quickly, my time is running out, but on another topic, I would like to ask the town board if Webster has secured a host agreement from the Coke Company to promise to pay full assessed value on the new plant from day one without any reduction in taxes. Because if you don't do it now, as the finance director knows, it will get caught up in Monroe County Comida, and we will not get our full amount of money. Also, how much more money in the sewer department cost is the Webster taxpayer going to incur in getting the byproduct made by Coke to the wastewater treatment plant on Phillips Road? There has to be a cost, and Webster residents should know this cost before this project passes on to the planning board, not after. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Ron. Next up is we have 3 sets of board minutes to be considered for approval. We had 2 meetings on the 18th, a workshop at 5:30 and then a regular board meeting at 7:30. I've read those minutes. I make a motion that we approve the May 18th, 2023 workshop minutes. Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
And I also make a motion that we approve the May 18th, 2023 regular board meeting minutes.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
And the workshop last week on May 25th, I make a motion that we approve those minutes.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Patty? No? Bill? Bill, I missed you this week. I didn't see you. So,
I reviewed the bills submitted by the Director of Finance and recommend that we pay them as submitted. Second.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
aye. And I reviewed the prepaid warrants as submitted by Paul Adams, Director of Finance. Make a motion we approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Take a breath, right? You good?
Yeah.
You're zipping along. And I make a motion to approve the purchase orders as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
I guess Paul or Mary or,
Probably both of them.
yeah?
The cost for the courthouse repairs is coming in higher than was originally expected, so this is to authorize a transfer of up to $180,000 versus the original estimate of $130,000. Mary could provide details as to why.
Yep, we publicly bid the finishing aspect of the project a couple months ago, and while it came in a little bit higher than we expected, it was reasonable once we looked it over in more detail, and they've been on site for about a week and a half now, making good progress with the drywalling. So unfortunately, it was a little bit higher than we estimated, but we're happy to see that this 4 or 5 phase project is nearing its end. So.
Well, as you walked in this morning, to the room, you saw the drywall going up and everything, so any other questions from the town board member?
No, doing a good job. They got the skim coat up, and they'll be sanding the seams next. So they're doing a great job, Mary.
It's all Derek. He's
well.
keeping track.
Well, I'll make a motion to increase the allowed transfer from the general townwide fund to the courthouse roof repair project H0235 from $130,000 to $180,000.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye. The next one, and I know, I just want to make sure, Mary, I saw that at, I think 3:20 this afternoon, you were able to get some supporting documents on this in an email and attachments out to the board. I know, John, I think you replied saying thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if the other town board members have
I
seen
did
it.
see it. I did read it through.
Okay.
And
You
didn't
have
have any
Susan?
questions.
I beg your pardon?
And did not have any questions on it.
Bill?
I did not see it, so who is the professional engineer?
Do you want me to give a little overview?
Yes, if you could, yep.
Yeah, so about 2 months ago, the board did a resolution to solicit professional services to help with large projects that come into town. So after finding out that Fairlife was indeed aiming to come to Webster, I solicited a proposal from Labella and Bergman, two large consulting firms, based on their expertise in environmental reviews, traffic and transportation reviews, among other things. And so we got a submission from Labella, and it was very comprehensive. They're the town engineer for many local municipalities. They've done this type of work supporting communities in the area. And so we got that on Friday. It was a holiday weekend, so we put our heads together Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week and came to an agreement on a not to exceed $35,000 contract to start with. So this contract is to support the town in areas that we don't have as much expertise as Labella might, to double check our reviews, and then to also help with workload as we're navigating all the capital projects and other day-to-day items here at town. So this is for specifically Fairlife at this point, but this contract could be used on other large industrial commercial developments that come to town to support us in other ways.
And Mary, like, if we don't utilize them, we pay nothing.
Correct, yep. So it's a time and materials type contract, so we pay as they work.
Yeah.
And then essentially, specific to the project that's coming through, these fees are absorbed or incurred by the developer with the fees that we're already collecting, or additionally, if we need extra help, our code allows us to get support from third-party consultants to help with reviews.
So it's interesting because, you know, Bill, you're the engineer on the board, so let's see if my layman term explanation of this, if you think it's correct. So there's two phases really to Coca-Cola Fairlife's project. The $650 million plant they're building on 100 acres on Tibor Road. Phase one is going to be going through the planning board, zoning board of appeals, the permitting process, all of that, which will lead up to, if everything is copacetic, they would hopefully break ground on the construction sometime in the fall. Usually designs and sketches and all that type of stuff is handled by the town. They look at what the client or the developer's engineers put in. This developer has got Haskell out of Jacksonville, right?
Correct.
So having, you know, Mary is a great town engineer, but this is an unprecedented project in this town. The size, the scope, it's unprecedented. You could say the last one was Xerox, and even if we went back and looked at how we handled Xerox in 1964, I don't know if it would have any pertinence to how you would handle this project in 2023. So getting a third party that we have a lot of respect for here to have that second set of eyes, I call it a measure twice, cut once, they'll help with that on the first phase of this. Now, if that all goes smooth, then we enter an interesting phase because they break ground in October and they build the thing, and let's say they're done in 2 years in October of 2025. Now, on a typical development, the developer and their engineer has to give us an engineer's estimate of site work. And let's say they say that the grading and infrastructure installation, things of that nature, you know, piping, whatever, is going to cost $100,000. Well, the town by code collects 3.5% fees, and that $100,000 it would be $3,500. And we codified those fees because that $3,500 is to help offset the time that our town engineer and arts department and sewer needs to go and do inspections during the construction phase. I don't know what the engineer's inspection number is going to be for 100 acres on a $650 million plant, but let's say that it's $10 million. 3.5% is $350,000. So we're going to get that $350,000 by law, by code, and from that standpoint, I'm not a spendthrift. In fact, I'm cheap. We have the monies to make sure that we do this the right way, because we only got one chance to do it the right way. And I'm somewhat explaining this, maybe over-explaining this, because you're going to see in the next couple weeks that this concept of having a third party come in and assist the town, and we have some phenomenal department heads. But the one thing I like about our department heads is they have the humility to know that this is above our pay grade. This is big. So there is no shame in getting a second set of eyes. And so we're looking at concepts of having a project manager retained by the town so that they can really oversee and be the main point of contact. We are looking at potentially getting outside legal help to look at how the seeker process is going, just to make sure it's done above reproach. We have to do this thing perfectly for the citizens, for the taxpayers, for the next 50 years. And we got one chance to do that. So I'll get off my soapbox, but Bill, the way I explained how phase 1 and phase 2 on a development works, was that about right?
Yep.
Hey,
you're learning.
You know, I'm trying. By the time I finally get it, I'll probably be done.
I will be.
What?
I will be.
Well, I don't think I'll get it by the time you're done. So, any questions? Because I appreciate, and I told Mary, since, you know, usually the town board gets all of this back up, either through any resolution we do, they're either getting a workshop presentation back and forth or supporting documents well in advance so they're educated and they can make an informed vote. It is not our common practice to have the supporting documents on something be emailed to the town board members at 3:20 in the afternoon for a 7:30 board meeting. So I had told Mary, this may get tabled. But if the board members have read the email, and I saw that they had, and they looked at the contract, and they understand the concept, and Bill, I think with me being verbose, you probably just read it, didn't you?
I'm all set.
Well, I can't make the motion.
I would make a motion to have the supervisor sign a contract for professional services related to site engineering, seeker, and building reviews and inspections.
Second.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. And just a sidebar to this, because we already have Barton and LaJudas involved in the engineering of the sanitary sewer plant, from that standpoint, we already have a relationship with them. They most likely will be the third party that's assisting on sanitary sewer lines and inspections and things. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Fairlight will be installing their own pre-treatment system. We want to stay consistent with what they're building, what they're setting down the plant, and how it affects the town's facility.
Good. All righty.
This one's Mary's again.
Do you want me to provide an update on the next one, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there supporting documents on this? Or no, this is being tabled, right?
Yes,
Yes.
so I was going to ask to table this. We did have a great workshop on May 18th where 4 firms came in and presented their take on helping the town with procuring more grants. And we had a lot of good feedback from the board, so thank you for getting back to us on your thoughts. And then quite an interesting meeting of the minds internally. So we just want to take a couple more weeks and negotiate scope and fee with one of the consultants and then bring it back in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Sound good?
Thanks.
I couldn't, yeah, thank
I
you,
would
Patty.
move that we table the resolution to contract and allow the supervisor to sign an agreement for professional services related to grant and public funding assistance for the town of Webster. Do I need to put a date on that
No.
table, or we'll just leave it at tabled at this point?
Just tabled.
Okay, that's my motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. We did get supporting documentation from Chris Bilo. Does anybody have any questions on the Cernus vending agreement?
I don't.
No.
No.
Okay.
I would move that we allow the supervisor to sign an agreement with Cernus Vending to provide vending services at the Webster Recreation Center.
Second.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. Boy, I hope that Pat Stevens has something very important tonight, because he's missing a milestone resolution, isn't he?
He put all his trust in my hands, I suppose.
Okay, well, Mary, if you're going to explain this, because this is big, I think.
Yes, so this did get on the agenda a little late. The time is slipping by quite fast this year, it seems. But we had a 5.5 to 6 hour meeting yesterday at MRB, our consultant for the highway facility, with MRB, the town, and our construction manager campus. And we went page by page through all the drawings. We are at 95%. So there was just a few loose ends and coordination items that we are wrapping up to put this project out to bid in 2 weeks about on June 14th. So it's a really exciting time.
5 contracts, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay. Any questions?
No.
I make a motion to advertise and solicit bids for the Town of Webster Highway Facility Project, and for the said advertisement to be published in the Wednesday, June 14th, 2023 Webster Herald edition.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Did he put his trust in you on this, the stuff that they're getting rid of at auction?
He didn't think there would be too many
I don't
comments on
think
that,
that-
but he did mention, yeah.
Any questions, anybody on these next two?
No.
Some trade-in for the, okay, I make a motion to declare the following items for auction from the Highway Department: a toolbox for old number 56, tag number 5157, transfer tank for old number 56, tag number 6223, and toolbox for old number 56, tag number 6246.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
I'm embarrassed to ask this, is that a nickname for one of the trucks?
Yes.
Jeepers.
It's a truck number.
Old number 56.
Old 56.
It's old.
Is there
It's
a
gone.
new 56?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's dead.
It's passed on.
Okay. And then I also make a motion to declare the following item for trade-in from the Highway Department: a 2014 John Deere loader, tag number 06099.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
And on a tabled item, I just want to make sure that this is done correctly, Charlie, because I don't know when it'll show up on a future town board meeting agenda, if ever. So I don't want to make a motion to table it. Do we have to do anything? It's sitting there on the agenda as a tabled item. We're not doing anything on it. But I feel as though, and maybe I'm just nitpicking, if we table it, does that by definition mean it has to go back on the agenda on the 15th?
Well, you can table it without date. You can table it sine die.
But we already did that.
Yes.
Okay. And if we do that, then if it doesn't show up on the June 15th agenda or the July 6th agenda, that fits into that type of resolution.
Correct.
Okay.
There's no, as far as I know, there's not a time limit on this, so.
Okay. Well, then, I want to make sure I got the wording. How did you, was there a Latin term?
Yes, I did, but
God
it's
darn you.
basically without date.
Okay.
Without date.
I make a motion to table the resolution, take the pledge to register with the NYDC as a climate-smart community without a date.
I'll second that.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi? Aye. Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
All right, now that concludes the formal public part of the meeting tonight. We will do our round table. I feel like we've missed that. But I will say, once we're done with that, I am going to make a motion to go into executive session. And Charlie, I just want to make sure that motion, when I make it, will be under section 105(1), subchapter
F, 105, subdivision 1, subdivision F.
Okay.
It's regarding the employment, financial credit history of a particular organization.
Okay. And then I'll make that motion after we do the roundabout. So, Art, anything?
Yes, I'd be happy to announce our flush truck has been back for probably a month now. It's been out of service and at the repair shop for probably 6 months. Prior to that, it has been out 4 days a week, so we're very, very happy to have that back. And with Charlie, we have been muddling through in the state process, so that's a stressful situation, but everything is good. We're enjoying the good weather, so.
What's a long-term lookout for that?
Long-term lookout.
We're going to look to get a new flush truck?
Absolutely we are, and I do owe you some documentation, but we are going to look at a new flush truck that is 11 years old, and actually have a good gentleman coming in at the beginning of July to start building something.
Thanks for the update.
Mary?
Yes, Sandbar Park is steadily progressing. The flood wall, they've gotten several hundred feet done. It's looking great. They're doing a form liner on the water side that looks like laid stone, so it's going to be really pretty and stained a couple different colors, so that'll be quite a feature there at the park. And they've been successfully keeping the waters at bay as the waters seem to be steadily increasing, but their dewatering has been working really well. So that construction is going great. And then I will also announce that next week is our kickoff of intern season. So we have 2 interns starting next week. One has a focus in planning and one has a focus in engineering. So Josh and I are going to share them this summer.
Great.
I'd like to jump back in.
Oh, boy.
Mary triggered in my head. She mentioned water's rising. Our outlet pump station is back online after the
MO65?
MO65 after a total rebuild of that and really securing it from the rising waters. The only large thing we have left is installing a generator. And as we all know, that supply chain is dreadful, so we're hoping to have that in by the end of July.
Great. Paul?
The 2024 budget season is starting to ramp up. As part of the process this year, we're going to be taking the budget out 5 years through 2028 and incorporate the various capital projects that we have underway and about to start. So it will involve a multi-year capital plan as well as a 5-year budget so that we can look into the future.
Great. Bill?
We're busy oil and stoning. Have the calls started coming?
No,
Good.
no, I'm gonna start doing my walking. Well, I did, and I went to the first street and I found out that it was
Wrong.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is better to find out now. They had it done last year. Computer glitch.
Yep.
Patty?
I'm not sure we'll have an opportunity to announce this before next Saturday. Next week's workshop probably will not give an opportunity, but the annual summer celebration is happening next Saturday on June 10th.
Thanks, Patty.
At the Recreation Center, and it's a wonderful family day of entertainment and community. So I encourage everyone to come out. Fireworks, band, food trucks.
It's an awesome event.
The rain's
Yeah.
supposed to be in the morning.
Oh, that's 10 days out there, you know. It can improve from there.
Are you singing again this year?
Singing?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, maybe.
Patty, is there a drug drop-off coming up?
There is on June 24th. Webster Health Education Network, the Town of Webster, Webster Police Department, and Assemblyman Brian Mangtalo will be sponsoring a drug drop-off. This is something that we're doing in addition to the one that was done at Wegmans. It's going to be down at the wastewater treatment plant on Saturday, June 24th from 10 until 2. So you can bring your unused, expired, unwanted medications, and they will be disposed of properly.
Thanks, Patty. Charlie?
I've said enough already.
I don't know about that. Jenny?
Well, thank you everyone for being here today, and also to check the website, you know, read the newspapers, and support your Webster Library and the museum. There's a lot of activities for family and friends and little ones too, so enjoy and be careful in the summer, stay hydrated, and watch out for motorcycles.
John?
So I just want to take the opportunity once again to thank our speakers that attended the meeting tonight. Regardless of what side they're on, it's pretty clear to me that they've done a significant amount of research. So I just would convey that I greatly appreciate it. It's nice to see all the people in this room.
I love it when
it's
it's
a controversial topic, but everybody was respectful, and you know, I was very impressed with the presentations that were given tonight. Clearly, these people that spoke tonight have done a significant amount of research.
And before we always end with you, but I gotta. Unfortunately, Eileen Warren, who was one of the speakers tonight, she left. I was hoping she'd be here. I just got to tell this quick little story. Eileen's husband works at a place where my 19-year-old daughter, who's home from college, she's working there this summer. And Eileen's husband said to my 19-year-old daughter last week, "You know, my wife is not really happy with your father." And my 19-year-old daughter goes, "Get in line." She's a pretty sharp kid. And now we'll end with you.
All right. I just want to mention that yesterday was the last day to submit town and county tax payments to the town. Any outstanding payments are to be made directly now to the county.
Thanks. And at that, I hate that we have all these great people in the room, and now we're going to have to ask you to leave because we're going to shut down the
Right, you're going to make a motion, though? and
Yes.
Invite certain people.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So I am making a motion to enter executive session under section 105, subchapter 1F. Was it F?
Yes.
Yes. Obviously, the town board will be in this. I'd like to invite Paul Adams, the finance chair, Charlie Genesi, the town attorney, Art Patrone, deputy DPW commissioner and head of the sewer department, Dennis Clough from Navitas, and Bill Buchan from the Buchan Law Firm. Those who are, I'd like to attend this. That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And that's at 9:04.
Got it.
9:04.